I am so glad you're joining me on this great adventure of discovering who we are as a church family, who we are as individuals, and why has God put us together in the first place. First Baptist Church Wimberley is 135 years old. I know that's hard to believe. It's hard for me to fathom what Wimberley looked like 135 years ago. Probably looked a little different in some spots. Cypress Creek probably looks the same in a lot of the spots, but we digress. But 135 years of being a faithful family of faith in the Wimberley Valley. But really, who are we and why did we begin and what is the origins? Let me just give you a little background as we start this adventure, and maybe you can discuss this. First Baptist Church Wimberley's had 5 different names in 135 years, like Jacob's Well Missionary Baptist Church, Wimberley Baptist Church, on and on, Wimberley Missionary Baptist Church. The names have been many. In 1977, the church changed its name to First Baptist Church. Each time they changed it with intent to better identify with the community and better reach people. So we've had a lot of different names. We've had many different locations that were like at Jacob's Well, and then locations that were downtown Wimberley, and then out kind of on the new Loop area, and then where what we call the old church was located, and then now, of course, here on our campus on Winters Mill. One thing's for certain, we've never been identified by our name or our location. We've always been identified by who we are and why are we here. And so I want to take you on a biblical adventure of helping discover that. All of us are looking for an identity. We want something to belong to, people to belong with. Perhaps it's a sports team. You identify yourself as an Aggie or a Longhorn or a Red Raider or a Horned Frog or whatever, all the hand signals we have, or Seminole, because I'm a Florida State guy. And so, but is there more than just an affinity with the school? And the answer is absolutely. Is there more of an affinity with the vocation? Like I'm a pastor, or I'm a salesman, or I'm a oil field guy, or I'm a realtor, or whatever. Is there a bigger identity there? And yeah, there is. Or you say, well, I'm married, or I'm not married, I'm single, I'm a single dad, I'm a single mom, whatever. We're looking for these places to mark ourselves. Well, really who we are is that we are children of the Most High God, placed into a family of faith. Based on a decision that we individually made about King Jesus, God has brought us into a family. And so who we are is a family. That's who we are. And your identity is found in your family. My last name is Weatherford because I'm of the family of Weatherford. I don't just belong to the family of Weatherford. I belong to the family of Jesus because I was born as a Weatherford. I was born again into the family of Jesus. So that's who we are. And so as your group discusses today, really talk about origins and how you find your identity. And, we call ourselves a Baptist, but really we're Biblicists, and denominational labels, they fall off when you go up, they burn down when you go down, and they really don't matter. But what identifies us is with who we are as a family. So I want to talk to you about how this really started. And it didn't start in 1884. It started in about 33 AD in a place called Jerusalem, where God did an amazing thing. He started the church. In Acts 2, 42 through 47, and I encourage you to read that. I want you to read that tonight in your group, or today in the group, whenever you're meeting, and really look at this. And what you'll see there is commitments people made to live a life all for Jesus as a family. And as you look at 42 through 47, you'll see the identifying marks of First Baptist Wimberley, where the identifying marks are commitments to that first church back in the day. Here they are. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching, to the breaking of bread, the fellowship and prayer. They devoted themselves. You don't grow without commitment. Commitment is what changes us, and devotion is what develops us. Now, that devotion was to the fellowship. That means they were devoted to one another. And you think, oh, it's a nice little group of people. Excuse me, just a few folks gathered together. But it was 3,000 of them. Peter preached and 3,000 people responded. 120 were already involved. And they had this huge explosion of growth in this early church. And there was over 3,000 of them. And they were devoted to one another. They were devoted to the fellowship. They were devoted to breaking of bread. And some theologians say, well, that was communion. More likely was eating together. Fellowship meals where they were sharing food together. Sharing of food together was a vital part of Jewish life, and well, it's a vital part of Texas life too. You know, they enjoyed barbecue. It's called sacrifice at the temple. We enjoy barbecue. It's called sacrifice at Creekside Cookers or Franklin's or Salt Lick or someplace else. Let's don't go down that crazy road. But anyway, they devoted themselves to the fellowship, the breaking bread, and to prayer. And they devoted themselves to the apostles' teachings. That the guys, the boys, had been with Jesus. You know, Matthew and James and John and Peter and Thomas and all those guys. They were listening to them because they had been with Jesus and they were teaching them, and they devoted themselves. And they were filled with awe and wonder because things were happening that were supernatural. And they were meeting each other's needs, and they were contagiously sharing the love of God and word of deed. They were growing in favor of one another. And the Lord added to their number daily those that were being saved. There were 5 things there. 5 things I want you to see. First of all, they were devoted to honor God with their lives. They were in it as a family, devoted themselves. They were devoted to connecting with God and with each other. They were devoted to one another. That's called connecting, our fellowship. They were devoted to becoming more like Jesus because they were listening to the disciples, the apostles' teaching, and the disciples' apostles' teaching was designed to make them more like Jesus. They were growing. And then they were serving God by serving one another, meeting each other's needs. And then they were watching God add to the number. They were sharing contagiously the hope they found in Christ, and God was birthing new people into the family. And they changed the world. Who are we? We're the same bunch. We're from the same tribe. This is us. This is how we started. We started with the heart of God who said, I want this kind of movement in the Wimberley Valley. And he did it 135 years ago. 135 years from now, will we still be that same church? I hope and pray so. In fact, I hope we're more developed and more sophisticated and more devoted to those 5 things than ever before. So in this adventure on This Is Us, let's remember who we are, where we started. We started at Acts 2. We want to continue to live Acts 2, and we want to do this all for Jesus. This is who we are. This is the foundation. Enjoy your conversation around those commitments. I hope this helps.